All right, so this is going to be, I think it's probably our third or fourth day, um, third day in the church. Yes, third day in the church where we've now um, increased the items the dog is going to be required to search, and we've decreased the size of the find. We've brought it down to a single vial. Later on, towards the end of the video, I'll show you what a vial looks like if you haven't seen one in a while, and with the number of bugs. Now, when I first got the vials, there were 5 adult bugs in each one of the vials, somewhere around there, 4 or 5. But since then, obviously, there were a couple females that were pregnant because now there are several bugs inside of a vial, much of which are nymphs and I guess the other word would be baby bed bugs. So they're very tiny and small. So when you see the vial, you're going to see at least 1 or 2 adults, and you're going to see little things crawling around. Those are the offspring to the adults. All right, so that's what we've done. So I've increased the number of things I'm requiring the dog to search, and again, decrease the actual find down to a single vial, and depending on which vial is hidden, there can be anywhere from 2 adult bugs only, and then to a greater number of bed bugs, but including adults, nymphs, and eggs probably also, and what other age group you can fit in there. All right, let's go ahead and go to the video. Here's the room we're going to be searching. This is a room, again, that he's never been in. It looks like that, probably a lot like the last room, but there's a series of these meeting rooms at the church. And this is just another one with tables set up in a different configuration. That instead of the chairs being all folded up against the wall, they're actually unfolded and underneath the tables. And the find actually is right over here underneath the base of this bar stool type of thing. Sounds funny saying a bar stool inside of a church, but high top chair. All right, so it's right here there's a little hole where this leg kind of gets inserted, and there's a screw little thing in there, and then there's like a little space that I was able to fit the single vial inside. All right, so that's right there on this particular search. What you're going to notice, and I'm just going to tell you about it now, that right over here on this chair, and then even I think on maybe it's this chair too. I can't remember which one, but this chair for sure, and this chair, the dog sticks his head through the opening here and somehow believes that he's supposed to sit. Just so if you're wondering, I've never hidden a bed bug vial, at least. I never, as I cannot say that because I've been in this room several times. But the last time I was in this room was several months ago. So the likelihood of there being an odor that the dog is attracted to is very slim, and I doubt it. I think there's just something in the sense, maybe the way what you'll see on the video is kind of either me standing there looking at him, he's asking me a question like, is this where you want me to sit? And the dog's still trying to figure out. He's still trying to assume that there's other ways of getting that toy, right? He's assuming that I simply need to stick my head in something and sit because perhaps that's one of the things he thinks he's done to be able to get the toy. He still hasn't figured out entirely that it should only be about the odor and locating the source of that odor and then sitting, right? He hasn't really been able to completely wrap his head around that that's the only thing that gets him the toy. But so he's going to try things. He's going to have belief systems that he's created up to this point, and so he's still working through those. When he does finally get into the odor, you can see his reaction is completely different. His body language changes, that kind of stuff. So I'll go ahead and watch the video, or we'll go ahead and start the video now. And you're going to see much of what I was just talking about. All right. I've also changed. Oh, I forgot this. I've also changed the toy to a rubber ball with a string on it. Aldo, one of my trainers, loves to have this type of toy and being able to use this type of toy. Not every dog that we train will accept this as one of his toys, but it just so happens that Charlie does. And you're going to see it's going to be a little bit easier for me to work on him releasing the toy. Following this first video, I'm going to be in the same room, but I'm going to be showing how we train the dog using this toy now with a string on it to release the toy without having to put my hands on it. And it makes it a little bit easier. There's less fumbling around, grabbing his head and that kind of stuff. So if the other thing is maybe, if you're working on a dog, you're trying to get out of his mouth and it's going kind of slow, if he'll accept a toy with a string on it, this may be a solution for you. So you can see there's multiple ways to do things. And sometimes depending on how the dog reacts, you need to change how you're doing it, right? So, all right, here we go. I'll play. Stop teasing you. All right, so playing the video. Move my cursor so that gets out of the way. So now you can see the yellow ball Has little nubs on it, so the dog can actually grip it a little bit better. It doesn't slip out of his mouth as easy. And he really likes it, so that's good. Again, I'm sorry I come out of frame, but this is a stationary, it's my phone that's held in a stationary position, so I apologize. I'm doing much of this training, obviously, most of it without any help, and so I don't have a camera person that can go. So here's Charlie. He's beginning to sniff. This is where he first becomes interested in that chair. All of this could have been because of that moment where I picked up the leash, I stopped. He was asking me a question at that time. He thought I'd answered it, so he's thinking, well, maybe it is this chair I'm supposed to be alerting to. But you see, his behavior is not the same as when he's in odor. His tail's not quite wagging as quickly. He's not as excited. He's wagging his tail out of like, well, what do you think? Am I doing a good job? But it's not what you'll see. Now kind of picture what's happening here. Look at his tail. It's just kind of wagging side to side. Watch when he gets towards that bar stool, how differently and how faster his tail wags. So there he wagged it faster because he saw me bending over. He thought he was going to get something. So ignore that. That had to do with my positioning. So he's trying it again. There's the chair that he thought he'd tried again. Somehow he's got in his belief system that it has to do with him sticking his head into something. Maybe he's tying it to me coming to a brief stop and looking at him. But now you see him passing by. Now he finds that same chair, and he looks for me for direction, asking me questions. I'm going to say, I don't know what you're talking about, and just keep him searching. He's searching chairs over there, which is good, so I allow him to do that. It looked like he might have been going towards the bar stool because he was in odor, but he wasn't. He's checking underneath the table. It's hard to see, I know. I apologize. If I had a real cameraman to follow me around, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm waiting for him to get done searching. I'm not going to pull him off or tell him he's doing something wrong if, in fact, he's doing something well. So look at his tail. So look at now. It's wagging a lot faster. He's in odor, right? He just got done smelling odor, and he's trying to figure it out. So now it looks like it's even sticking out straight, which is called flagging. But watch as he kind of searches around. All that behavior, that getting up on his hindquarters, is him knowing that he's in odor. He just can't figure exactly where it's coming from. So somehow his movement, my movement, his tail wagging has caused this odor to kind of be dispersed in that area. So it's a little bit difficult for him to find a single vial of one or two little tiny bugs, because all this action obviously is pushing the odor all about now. So now he's trying to figure out, where did it originate from? Where did it come from? And this in a new dog is not that easy. One thing I failed to also point out, if you see me putting the leash down on the ground, that's because it's getting tangled up in his legs. So I put it on the ground so he'll step out of it, and that way I don't have to reach around his neck to get the leash. Here he's coming close to figuring out. I will actually eventually point it out. I want him to be successful. Again, this is a new adventure, a new amount of bugs, and I point it out and make sure that his nose gets where it needs to be. So I kind of look at the whole stance change. He moves it. Now he's forgetting that he has got to sit, right? He's thinking, I found the odor. The leash was obviously causing some kind of problem there. Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to grab the chair because I didn't want him pushing the chair around. So he puts his nose on it. I'm trying to help him understand that he's supposed to be sitting. He almost goes to a sit, but he stalls. I go, I can't give you the ball because you're not doing exactly what I need. What I need you to do is put your nose to source and then come to a sit. So there we reward. All right. So now we're going to show you a little bit about teaching him to release this ball. I wanted to get a find under his belt before I started working on this, before I started stressing him out a little bit. See how much easier it is? Now I can just reward him a lot faster. And again, that leash is getting tangled around his legs. I need it not to be, so if I need to give him a correction, I can. Give him a sit. So I'm using obedience to help him understand that he's supposed to let go. So get him in that seated position. He gets up. I get him in the seated position. And releases. Good. So the act of getting him in an obedient posture, an obedience position, works on his brain that this is not playtime, and so he releases the toy. So what he's learning, if I am being given an obedience command and I have the ball in my mouth, if I let go, I will be able then to get out of this obedience position, right? So we're working on a couple things on his brain here, that not only do I want you to let go, but if you want to play, if you don't want to let go, I'm going to make you sit. And once you let go in that seated position and thereby following my command and being obedient, I will let you play again. So get him in that seated position and then let him play. You see now we're using a little bit of not complex but compounding theories here of obedience, release. See there he almost broke it on his own. I'm going to pet him and see what he does. He'll grab for the ball and it's not a time. I didn't give him permission. So now I'm teaching the difference. All right, good. So now we're going to work into a different part of the church. Now the bed bugs are again a single bed bug. I'll show you them at the end of this video. Is right between chair, if we were to count from here, 1, 2, 3, between 3 and 4, right inside here. I'm going to start off camera, begin the search, and what I really like to see with this dog is that he's already sticking his head between things to try to find that odor. Look at on his own. And we've never searched this room in this manner before. We've searched the room before, and we've searched these chairs before, but not necessarily in this manner where he's got to learn to stick his nose in between. Look at that. Stick his nose in between the chairs, and he's doing a really good job. Here, he sniffs it. He actually sniffs it there and passes by it. Either he actually didn't smell it, or again, the positioning, the way that things are in the scenario. Look at that, trying to push his head through there. Whatever it was, it just wasn't clicking, right? Again, that's why he heard a noise, so it distracted him. Now here, you can see his tail wagging a little better. Now he's bobbing up and down. He's smelling the odor. He's asking me questions. And there, I wasn't sure that he actually had put his nose on the object. So we're going to go ahead and reboot and start again. Again, simply him putting his face in there doesn't mean to me that he smelled it. I want to see something that actually tells me he smelled like that. There he told me he smelled it. Do you see the way he reacted and looked around? That tells me that he actually smelled it. There, the delay is too long between him sitting and smelling it and making the decision to sit. Here's sniff, comes out. Right, now it's delayed, too long. He's still thinking. He's asking me questions. Now he's sitting. Too late. Sniff. And sit. That was with a little help with the correction to try again. We want to help him, get to be successful. So he learns all these different configurations. One vial hidden between two chairs. Multiple vials hidden, in a drawer. 5 vials in a plastic bag hidden in a cinder block. Right. So all of these are new situations that at some point it'll just become normal to search for odor, period, and no longer are the situations any different. The find is going to be right here, between the 3rd and 4th chair from the other end. Again, we don't always want to use the 3rd and 4th chair because dogs actually can eventually count at some point. So right here is where it's going to be, right where he just went by. Right, and he'll get his nose in there, and this time it works a little bit faster. Watch this. This is again there he smells it. I recognize that he smells it. And because he was actually constantly in motion, we went ahead and gave him the toy. Those were decisions he made on his own without me having to influence him. So here we're going to come and show you the vials. And see it right there? It's sticking there right in between it just kind of holds itself. I didn't have to use tape, which is always good. Trying to figure out how I can hold the camera and get it out at the same time without it's glass, so I don't want it hitting the ground. I was sweating bullets, trying not to let it hit the ground there and not drop my phone. There we go. All right, here's the vial. And again, some people will say, well, he should have done this and that. Well, we're not, again, he's searching for those little tiny bugs that have been sitting there for about 30 minutes prior to us doing a search. Really, there's a very minute amount of odor coming out to where this dog can smell it.
Good boy.
I think this is pretty incredible. So here's the other vial. Same type of thing sitting there between the plastic and the handle. And I'm not sure if this is the one that has the multiple bugs in there. Oh, yes, it is. So you can see right there, see the adult, and then to the right of that adult, you can see that little white speck. Those are babies. And you can actually see them. If I hold it long enough, you see those little babies that are kind of around there. All right. So coming back to here, so hopefully you got some things out of this one too. Again, different configuration in regard to the amount of things the dog is now being required to search, which his brain now has to work a little bit harder. We threw in the training for him releasing the toy, which is obedience, right? We had him sit a couple times and had him let go. That works on the dog's brain. We brought it down to a single vial with differing numbers of bed bugs between adults and nymphs and eggs and that kind of stuff. And what else? There was one other thing there. Oh, a new toy, right? We brought in a new toy. So again, these things all work on a dog's head. We're talking about a 14-month-old dog learning this task that he's, has no idea what he's doing. Right? He has no idea why he's searching for this stuff and traveling to these new places. It's 103 degrees outside when we were doing this. I think the time before that it was 100 and something degrees. So, and he's from Northern Ireland. So. These are all things that as a trainer you need to be aware of and not be so impatient. That's the only thing I want to bring that up. There is a lot going on, regardless of what you think, right? Regardless of what you think as a human being, understand to the dog, there are a lot of things going on. And so you, the trainer, you, the handler, as you're going through this training, have to be patient in the early stages. As time goes on, we're going to be a little bit less patient. And at some point, if a dog is not doing what he's supposed to do, we just walk out and put him in the crate and end training. We go, hey, dude, you had plenty of time. You know what to do. You've been trained. You've been through these scenarios before. You get a little timeout. And then you bring the dog back in and do it again, right? So that's how we lose. That's how not how we lose patience. That's how we draw the line from a dog that's learning, like Charlie is now, as opposed to a dog that has been trained and knows and has experience that is not doing the job, right? When that happens, then we're a little bit more strict in what it is we decide to do, but that comes later on. You see my involvement in pointing things out. I'm saying sniff here because you're gonna find something there. Is happening now, but won't be happening later. I'm going to expect the dog to be doing that on his own, and he should not expect me to help him out continuously. Again, like any other job, when you're training an employee, in the beginning you're actually pushing the keys for them. You then show them what's key to push. You then wait for them to push the right key, and if they don't, then you tell them which key to punch, and then as time goes on, if they don't know which key to punch, then you fire them. Right? So you see that we're in the exact same steps that we would be in the training of employees, where we're showing them, where we're actually holding their hand, and then less hand holding, and then expecting to see results, but we're going to help if they get into trouble. And then at some point, hey, you got to know how to do this, or it's the end of the line for you. And so we're at that early stage yet, where we're still holding the hand a little bit, we're pointing things out, we're pretending we don't know. Yeah, you tell me. And then when he does it, oh yes, you figured it out on your own, what a good dog, right? And that's how this all works. So hope that was helpful to you, and let's go ahead and go back to the live video, and we'll see you there at the live broadcast.